Oh, the UK. Oh, mate, it's great here. It's really awesome. I'm definitely not like just saying that because like, if I don't say it, I'll be like dragged off for like speech crimes. It's great. It's great here. It's really good. Blink twice if you're being held hostage. It's cold. It's cold in the UK. I know, bros. Literally never happened before. But of course, since we live in a new progressive world, a new net zero world, a new normal, as it were. Now we have to like fucking deal with this bullshit. It's not going to be long before we have like an actual blackout. What's going to happen then is anybody's guess. If the 1970s are any guide, it'll be another winter of discontent. For those of you who are not aware, the winter of discontent was under the Labour government of Callaghan, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. But anyway, they had a Labour government basically in the 1970s, and it did a whole bunch of the same stuff the Labour government is doing now. And eventually there were like massive strikes, and the garbage wasn't being collected, and just everything fell apart. It was called the Winter of Discontent, and it actually took down the Labour government at the time. Britain scrambles to guard against blackouts as temperatures plummet. Grid operator seeks to bolster power as cold weather expected to drive higher energy use. Well, I mean, expected to? I mean, what, everyone's like just going to freeze to death? God fucking damn it. I hate this so much. The electricity grid operator is seeking to bolster Britain's power supplies to guard against blackouts amid plummeting temperatures. But they're still like decommissioning and blowing up power plants. So they're not actually going to do anything that would actually mitigate this. Like, start like, fracking or, oh my God. As weather forecasters issued snow warnings for South England. The National Energy System Operator said it expected power supplies to become particularly tight on Wednesday evening between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Yes, it was tight. It was a near-run thing. We very nearly had blackouts. Tightest day in GB electricity markets since 2011. Basically, there wasn't any wind. There was no sun. They had to like suck like a whole bunch of power from Europe and pay incredible amounts of money to get certain gas plants to turn on at short notice. This is basically the load thing. As you can see, when the blue line spikes above the filled part, that means they're out of energy. And, they got to like suck power down through what's called an interconnector, which is, where sort of like you suck in power from Europe. But of course, that all has to be bought. And it is bought at a fierce price. System margin shortfall was 1,700 megawatts. It's just crazy, right? We came about 500 megawatts close to like an actual grid down event. Of course, Nesso, who are all net zero and stuff like that, were like, if we can see that our national safety margin for operating the system is not as big as we'd like, the system, not like literally the entire country or anything, like the way they're so freaking blasé about it, and we can't address it through the normal mechanism, we would consider issuing an energy margin notice. If our safety margins for operating the system are reduced, then a capacity market notice might also be issued as an alert to providers in the capacity market. This is like very, very detailed. But basically, it's insane. They wound up like paying some insane amount of money. Where is it? Is it in this? Oh, and for some reason, bros, I know you guys are going to be shocked. It turns out that the winter outlook, right? The people predicting how much power the UK would use, and they're like, no, it's fine, right? Because it's not like they're ever going to say, oh yeah, we're going to like run out of power. The winter outlook did not predict this. Oh, you can predict the weather now, can you? Right? Like, next time you're under like a climate change fucktard who's like, oh, in 10 years, you're like, what, you can predict the weather now? You've suddenly conquered the ability to predict fluid dynamic systems, have you? Chaos theory is no longer a thing. Sensitive dependence upon initial conditions is no longer a thing. Like, just give them a glass of water and be like, I want you to predict exactly how this glass of water is going to behave when I swirl it around. I'd be like, oh, I can't. Well, if you can't predict a fucking glass of water, how the fuck can you predict a weather system? It's fine. Look, just I'll be shivering in the dark. One day you'll see an ad for the live stream, and when the time comes, they'll just be nothing. You won't be able to like reach me, you know, and you'll see like, you know, someone like, you know, on the edge with like Starlink or something is like posted to Twitter that the entire UK is now like, you know, in a massive blackout. Oh, it'll be fine, bro. It'll be fine. The price has surged to £1,352 per megawatt hour. The average cost over last year is approximately 70, and that's already massively inflated because of all the net zero bullshit. So we're talking, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of times more expensive. One of the power generation things, basically, they paid for their entire year's costs in literally one day. Because they basically had to, you know, phone them and be like, oh, you know, you got to start up your power plant. And they're like, oh, yeah, we'll do it. But you got to pay. You got to pay. It'll be a shame if anything happened to your country. Fucking hell. They're doing even more of this shit. They're doing even more of this shit. Oh, my God. I can't believe it. No. Apparently, it got up to £5,500 per megawatt hour. Oh, my God. This is just insane. We are no longer a serious country in any way, shape, or form. And as if that wasn't bad enough, I mean, don't worry, the government's got a plan. They're going to print a fuckload more money. Yes, indeed, despite all of the wailing and gnashing of teeth when Liz Truss was Prime Minister a couple of years ago, if any of you remember that, and she tried to, like, implement some tax cuts, and the Bank of England basically, like, fiddled with the market, started like running around with its hair on fire and being like, oh no, it's terrible, the sky is falling, and then got her removed from office. It turns out that the interest rate on UK bonds is now higher than at the peak of the Truss affair. US stocks are in bad shape, the pound is falling, and the Treasury has been forced to intervene in markets by printing, how much was it? A bunch of money, basically, like, where was it? Billions of pounds, basically to support the UK bond market. It's looking like the economy's in bad shape, bros. The higher bond yields are going to cause higher borrowing costs, of course, which means that the government is already out of whatever headroom that they had, because the borrowing costs have already increased by, I believe, about 10 billion or more a year to pay back what they owe, which means they're almost certainly going to go for another tax rate. They're saying they won't, but you know they're going to. It's Labor. They never cut public services because so much of their base is employed in the government administering those services. People are asking the Bank of England to cut rates, but it's unlikely that they will. So everyone's basically looking at the UK and just being like, oh yeah, everything's up shit creek. The current UK gilt yield is 5.38%, which is higher than Greece at the moment. So you know you're in fucking trouble when your bond yield is higher than the Greeks.